So why did Red Bull beat Ferrari then? We've just seen that Ferrari looked like they had the fastest car. And here we can have a look at the qualifying pace, which says that Leclerc was the fastest driver. Leclerc took the pole position trophy this year. In my mind, he was the strongest qualifier. Maybe he's the strongest qualifier on the grid. He's shown that even from his first season with Ferrari back in 2019. And he was so strong again this year. What impressed me the most about him was how he could always find that lap time on the final run of Q3. So many of his poles didn't come from the first lap of Q3. In fact, quite often he was second or third and needed to just dig out one final flyer to get it. But he was the man that could do that more often than not.
Come on! Woo! Oh, the lap was good. The lap was good.
So Leclerc ends our season with the pole position trophy, but also with the outright fastest average qualifying pace as well, just ahead of Max Verstappen. Then you've got Sainz and Perez with a bit of a margin behind, and the two Mercedes duo, as we've seen, adrift quite well over the average. So with the fastest car, how did Ferrari not do a much better job? A number of reasons, but the key one really was this one, race pace. Now this is where Verstappen hits the front, and Max in race pace was extremely good this year. And Ferrari, they started with actually really strong pace in the early rounds, but just drifted off as the season went on. In fact, they're still, on the average, not too bad, in behind Verstappen and actually ahead of Sergio Perez, which is a surprising stat at the end of the season. But Verstappen just looked like he found a new level of not only pace, but ability to keep the tyres intact. And that was a key weapon for him in wins like Miami back towards the start of the season. And plenty of other Grand Prix as well, where even though he didn't have the qualifying pace Leclerc had, and sometimes Sainz had as well, he just had that knack to keep his tyres alive and perform at a really high level and a consistent level. We also saw him take wins from way down on the grid as well.
It's all well that ends well for Max Verstappen, winning the Belgian Grand Prix from 14th on the grid.
Which is partly due to this. No retirements because of incidents. So even when Verstappen was starting further down, he started 10th in Budapest and won the Grand Prix, started 14th in Spa and still won the Grand Prix. He was really clinical at the wheel. And it's something we've seen more from Verstappen this season. He had the championship kind of wrapped up, or certainly on the way by those Grand Prix, but he was making good moves, making good progress through, and wasn't getting involved in a lot of tangles. Pretty much every other driver in the field had a retirement due to an incident. Now, Max wasn't absolutely perfect through. He had Singapore, where he was trying to recover and overcooked it, trying to fight with Lando Norris. He actually had spins on way to wins in Barcelona and Budapest. So actually, he could have had potentially a couple chalked up, but so could everyone. Lewis Hamilton, one retirement, that was at Spa, due to an incident. But don't forget, he hit the wall pretty hard at Singapore and managed to carry on. Leclerc only retired in Paul Ricard with an incident from the lead of the race, what was a very costly moment in the season.
Are you okay?
I cannot get throttle.
But he also hit the wall at Imola.
Oh! As Charles Leclerc goes into the barrier at the Variante Alta. Now he's kept the car going.
So there were mistakes aplenty. So that makes you think, these cars have got really strong this season. Even Leclerc hitting the wall in Brazil and managing to keep going, as did Lando Norris.
And round the outside goes Charles Leclerc, and there's contact too with Lando Norris, and Charles Leclerc is off and into the barriers.
And Leclerc's up and running again.
The new cars were certainly very strong as well. But Verstappen, no retirements due to incidents. And also, after the first couple of races, which is where Verstappen clocked up his couple of retirements due to reliability, his car ran pretty smoothly for the rest of the season. So Red Bull, fastest race car, if not the fastest qualifying car. Verstappen not getting caught up in incidents, not having his own incidents that he couldn't recover from. And after the first two, where he had reliability problems in Bahrain and Melbourne, no more issues for Red Bull. To top it off, they had the best pit stop times as well. And this is where Sergio Perez actually ended with the fastest pit stop average across the board, but both Red Bulls in the top four, and they really were the standout team in terms of pit stops. And what all of these graphics don't show is the strategy. That's where Red Bull made a big difference as well. So many Grand Prix wins down to strategy, with a very fast car, admittedly, but that's where Ferrari all too often were making some critical mistakes. In Monaco, front row lockout for Leclerc and Sainz, and they couldn't convert it to a win.
And box now, box now, box for hard. Stay out, stay out.
What are you doing?
Tire, position 5.
It's Perez in the Principality. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc in his own race comes home to finish for a race where he led the early stages.
And P4.
No words. No words. Aye. Season is long, but we cannot do that. We cannot do that.
Silverstone, the race win got away from Charles Leclerc, who was their main championship challenger at the time.
The amount of race time that we have lost in this race is, oh my God.
Strategy, difficult to plot on a graph, but clearly an area of weakness for Ferrari in a season where they should really have been so much closer than they were.
Oh my God, the hard work, so bad. That's why I said that I wanted to stay on the medium as long as possible. Are we the only ones with 3 stops?
At the front runners, yes. At the back, some people with 3 stops.
Copy.